conference with the Prime Minister. He will be speaking about, we anticipate, this plan to streamline the public service. He's there now. Let's go live.
This year, after the election, I sat down with all of the heads of the public service after the election, and I spoke of what my expectations were. I spoke of how at the last election it had been a victory for all of those Australians who are going out there working hard every day, pursuing their honest, decent aspirations, and that our job as a government, with the support of the public service, was to deliver for them. I then spoke during the course of the last 6 months with them about important guideposts that should direct the public service about how they can support the government and to do their jobs. And they were to operate on the principle of respect and expect. We respect absolutely the professionalism and the dedication of our public service in the important roles they provide, but they should expect from us clear direction, and we should continue to expect from them being able to discharge their duties in the incredibly professional way they do. I talked about having a very strong focus on the delivery of services, because that's what government's there to do. I talked about ensuring that there was a keen focus on the implementation of policy, not just its development. The success of policy is not recognised in its articulation, but its delivery, its implementation. And anyone who's been involved in business will understand that it's the execution of your strategy that matters, not just having one. And I want a public service that's very much focused on implementation. I talked about the line of sight between every single person who works in the government and in our public service and the Australians they're serving, and making sure that they could see to that Australian that they were seeking to support, whether it's a brief they're preparing, research they're doing, policy they're developing, services they're delivering on the ground, and ensuring that could be done efficiently, and to keep Australians connected to them in the work they do each day. I talked about the need to use the digital technologies and the data and the information that we have as a government to better inform on how we implement and how we develop and deliver on policy. And of course I talked about the need for the institution of the public service to continue to be honoured, its fearless and frank advice, and the important place it plays in our democracy. And I said at that time that I'd be making further changes to the public service, and there will be further changes still that we'll announce once we complete the 30 review response, and we're still waiting on some final advice on that, and I'll make some further announcements about that next week, I understand. But today what I'm here to do is to announce changes to the structure of the Australian Public Service. And earlier today the Governor-General approved my recommendation to reduce the number of government departments from 18 to 14 to ensure that services that Australians rely on are delivered more efficiently and more effectively. Australians should be able to access simple and reliable services designed around their needs. Having fewer departments will allow us to bust bureaucratic congestion, improve decision-making, and ultimately deliver better services for the Australian people. The new structures that I'm announcing today will drive greater collaboration. It will break down silos. It will ensure that important policy challenges on which different parts of the public service are working on can work more effectively on together. It means better integration in key areas like education and skills and the delivery of regional services. The changes we made effectively are the 1st of February 2000. 4 new departments will be established. The first, the creation of the Department of Education, Skills and Employment, and that consolidates the current Department of Education and the Department of Employment, Skills, Small and Family Business. This is about having a continuity from the day you walk into school to the day you walk into a job and beyond, and ensuring that in your job and over your life we understand that there is a continuous education. Education doesn't start and stop when you leave the school, it goes on over your entire life. Learning happens in the workplace. Skills development happens in the school. It happens at university and TAFE and vocational training. It's a lifelong activity, well into senior years. And I want a public service agency department that is focused on that continuity of policy and service delivery and engagement with the states. The second one is the Department of Agriculture, Water and the Environment. I've talked about now for some time that I want a very practical environmental agenda, and there is no section of our country that relies more on our environment than our agricultural sector, our water policy. All of this is so intrinsically linked by how we address the environmental challenges that we have, not just as a country, but as a globe. And by integrating, I believe, the excellent scientific and other work that is done by the Department of Environment and the programs that they have, and connecting to that with the work that has been done in water and agricultural policy. And a great example of that, it's National Soils Day. The work that needs to be done to enrich and enhance our soils and what that means for the productivity of our agricultural sector, emissions reduction and all of these issues, I think, combine together very importantly. How we manage our land and our water and our sea and the resources that are there from an environmental perspective impact so much on our agricultural prospects. And those departments we brought together from the Department of Agriculture and the environment functions from the Department of Environment and Energy. There will be the Department of Industry, Science, Energy and Resources, and that will consolidate the Department of Industry, Innovation and Science and the energy functions from the current Department of the Environment and Energy. That would also include the emissions reduction functions as well. Small business functions from the current Department of Employment, Skills, Small and Family Business will also be taken into that department. And this is about bringing together all the various different parts of our industry, resources, energy programs, small business that impact each day on the operations of our Australian economy at a microeconomic level.